Hi folks, and welcome to today's video, which is a discussion video. Got little Toffee here. So I've named my Moflin Toffee. I did have somebody commented with some suggestions for Moflin names. I'm going to mention those at the end of the video.
Oh, okay.
But this video is a discussion video. So this is connected to the ongoing discussion that we've got where we respond to people's comments about why aren't toy companies making robots for kidults.
Yeah.
But this particular video is just about two products made by two companies and asking why aren't toy companies making these?
Yeah.
Can they make these?
Yeah.
Is it a matter of choice or constraint?
So what are these two products and what are the two companies?
Okay, obviously one of them is going to be this little fella, Moflin.
Moflin, yeah.
That is being produced by Vanguard Industries.
No, Vanguard Industries is a startup, isn't it?
It is. It's a Japanese startup.
Japanese, right, okay, yeah.
And these have only been available on Kickstarter and Indiegogo up to this point. They've just been available by crowdfunding.
Okay, so that's Moflin from Vanguard. And what was the other one?
The other one is a robot that's been brought out by a company called RoboSen.
That's Chinese, isn't it?
It's
RoboSen?
a Chinese company, yes.
Yeah.
Small company. They've only got 18 employees, I found out today, looking them up.
There's a connection between RoboSen and Hasbro.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a minute, folks. But first of all, we'll just show you the robot that we're talking about.
Yes, it's an impressive piece, isn't it?
So this is Flagship Grimlock. This is the robot that has just been brought out by RoboSen.
RoboSen, yeah.
It's priced at £1,399.
That's extraordinarily expensive.
And I believe it's about $1,700.
It's a cracking robot, though, isn't it? I mean, it's
yeah, the robot that you can see on the left, the sort of biped sort of humanoid figure.
Yeah.
It automatically transforms into by itself. Automatically transforms into the dinosaur that you can see on the right.
Yeah, in a very impressive way.
It's very fluid, the movement, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got a load of servos, hasn't it? Loads of servos and multiple microcontrollers, hasn't it, Paul?
Yes, it has, yeah. I think it's in the region of somewhere about, is it like 30 odd servos and almost as many microcontrollers?
This is what they brought out before. I think this came out last year or a couple of years ago. Optimus Prime.
Another Transformer.
Yeah, this is for sale now for £1,000. And again, it's like a humanoid figure and it transforms into the lorry.
So they're aimed at kidults, obviously, because of the
adults, yes.
price tag and collectors. And it's based on nostalgia as well, being based on the Transformers
series. Yeah,
because
I mean, Transformers have been around since, late 1980s. I remember them being around then. I'm not into Transformers personally, but I think they actually have feature-length films now.
Yeah.
Where these characters appear. So that robot, Grimlock. And the one before it, the Optimus Prime.
Right.
Are so impressive when you see them. They transform on a voice command, so fluid. It's really impressive. And the Grimlock one can walk both in the sort of biped humanoid form
and the sort of Tyrannosaurus Rex form.
Yeah. So yeah, real feat of engineering. So as you mentioned, Paul, there's a connection between that product and Hasbro, because Hasbro own the rights to Transformers.
So if anybody wants to make anything to do with transformers or present it as a transformer, they've got to get licensing permission off Hasbro, and of course Hasbro will charge them a packet for that.
Yeah.
So this company RoboSen
Has
did
got
that.
a licensing agreement.
So Hasbro's the toy company, and RoboSen's made Grimlock, but they've had licensing permission from Hasbro, the toy company.
Yeah. And it makes you think, well, why isn't Hasbro making them themselves? Because there's obviously a market for it.
Of course.
Because RoboSen thinks it's worth making these things and selling them, even though they've got to pay a chunk of the money that they make to Hasbro for the licensing agreement.
Well, I think it's getting back to what I've mentioned before, in that it's not part of Hasbro's specialisation to be able to make something like RoboSen using servos and software.
Yeah, they've got a different sort of expertise, haven't they?
But
a different type of engineering.
But they recognise, Hasbro do recognise the market out there for this collector's stroke Kiddle.
But they obviously know about it, yeah. Because they've got this licensing agreement with RoboSen. So that, as I say, it's really impressive engineering.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this little fella here, because this little fella here is a lot simpler.
So this Vanguard is a startup, and this is the first product brought out, and it would appear that Moflin would be something that a toy company could manufacture, but they never did.
And as I said to you, Moflin is quite simple compared to something like the robots that RoboSen are producing.
Yeah.
And I said to you, well, couldn't Hasbro or a different toy company give us like a Moflin equivalent?
Yeah.
And this is based on 2 servos.
And microcontroller and programming. And
a
bunch of sensors.
Now, toy companies make toys with the sensors that this one's got in it.
Correct.
They've made toys with a light sensor, and with touch sensors, and with a microphone, and with a gyroscope.
Gyros, yeah, that's quite true.
They've used all those sensors, so they can do that. But this one's been the movements based on 2 servos. Now, toy companies don't use servos.
They tend not to, yeah. They tend
to have one motor.
Yeah, as we've said before, yeah.
And then they use springs and
like mechanical programming.
Yeah, for the movement. And I said to you, well, couldn't they use those principles to make something like Moflin?
To have made something like Moflin.
So not servos based on one motor and then
mechanical programming. And I think they could have had a good stab at doing this. I think you're right. I don't think it would have been as good as this Moflin based on 2 servos, but I think they could have made it in their more traditional way, toy company way, and made something which was pretty good. But they didn't. Why didn't they?
Well, they haven't up to now.
Well, they haven't up to now. Maybe they just didn't. I mean, Moflin, you've got to admit it's unique. I've not seen anything like this before. It's a great idea, and it's all in the idea. It's just that this company's come up with it first. Somebody's got to come up with the idea first.
Just as an aside, folks, I'm really enjoying having a Moflin. My Moflin sleeps next to me on my bedside table, and every morning we have snuggles, and it's such a cute way to start the day.
So we've had a few comments, I think, saying that Moflins don't appear to do very much.
I'd say how it impacts on me is I find it very therapeutic. I'd say it's very much in this sort of camp of sort of like stress relief, anti-anxiety. That's how it feels to me.
So whilst it doesn't do a lot, what it does do, it does very well.
It makes you feel a certain way.
It's like more of an emotion. It's working on your emotions.
Yeah. But very, very calming, stroking it. It would be interesting if you could get sort of wired up to one of those, you know how your heart rate and everything goes down when you stroke a pet?
Yeah, like one of those...
It would be interesting to see how it compares with stroking a Moflin, because I feel so relaxed.
I think anybody who's got a Moflin and one of those fitness watches could do that experiment, and I'd be interested to hear the results.
But just finishing off the discussion.
Yeah.
Why do you think that Hasbro or any of the other toy companies, why do you think that they haven't produced something like Moflin?
Well, in the case of Moflin, I just think it's the idea, and it's somebody's got to come up with the idea first, and it happened to be Vanguard, and I think the toy companies just didn't think of it. I think it's as simple as that in the case of Moflin, because obviously it's mechanically simple, and as you say, they've used all these sensors and programs before. They could have made something like this.
And they have made toys before that develop over time.
Yeah, to a degree, but I think this Moflin's more. I think Vanguard have known that they've been aiming at adults and not children. Where I think toy companies...
what I'm saying is, though, there's a market for this.
Yes.
So yeah, you would think the toy companies would take note and
Well, I think they're becoming more aware, and I think sometimes in the future, toy companies might beat startups to the winning line in knocking something new out.
There's something else as well that we were discussing, the possibility that toy companies actually buy up a startup. That's a possibility. That's right,
yeah. I mean, all the core competencies that are within a startup could easily be bought up by a large toy company like Hasbro, and then they would have that under their wing and probably keep it as a separate division. And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that does happen in the future.
I think that happened with Tiger Electronics. I'm pretty sure that Tiger Electronics was a separate little company, and Hasbro bought them up. Right. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that happened. Yeah. So, folks, that ends the discussion. What do you think? Do you think that toy companies could produce something like Moflin, or even something like the robots that RoboSen produce? Do you think that they might in the future? And do you think that some of these companies might get bought up by a toy company in the future? Yeah. And finally, as promised, Isabella, here are 5 name suggestions for anyone who's got Moflin and looking for a good name for it. We've got Charlie, Willie, Elliot, Lenny and Gizmo, after that little alien from the 1980s. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed that discussion, and I look forward to getting some comments and feedback. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching as always, and hope to see you next time.